So I'm at the almighty Home Depot parking lot today, and today's project is to install this Swivels-r-us passenger side swivel seat. It's going in my 2021 Ford Transit, and to say the directions are minimalist is putting it generously. The first step says remove the seat. It doesn't tell you what tools you need to do or what you need to do before that. I've learned that there is one tool you're going to need for this project that you probably don't have. A T40 star wrench, whatever they call it, Torx wrench. You want the one that says T40. I got one of the multi-tools from Home Depot. This only cost $9. And the first thing you want to do before you even touch the seat is disconnect the battery, because you might deploy your airbags and that could be a huge problem. The way to disconnect the battery is to first remove the driver's side seat because the batteries are underneath. Step one, in order to access the battery compartment, I've learned the chair needs to slide forward way more than it actually can. What's stopping them is these bolts. If you see the mechanism, when it's slid forward, it collides into these bolts. That stops it. So if you remove the bolts with that T40 hex nut, then you can slide the chair all the way forward and access that battery compartment. So after removing those two star bolts, the next thing you want to do is get this metal thing out of the way, because you can't open up this plastic cover over the batteries unless you get it out of the way. The way to do that is use a wrench and remove these two bolts right here. So finagling this plastic cover off has been really difficult. There's a latch over here you can barely see that takes some brute force to remove, but once you remove it, I don't know what you do. I still cannot access the power right here because I just cannot figure this out. How the hell do you get this plastic thing off? I just don't understand. Wow, so I did it. I finally got that plastic cover off and I have access to the battery now. There's our ground over here and here's our power. I'm gonna disconnect this power right here, and I'm just gonna seal it in a rubber glove that I brought with me for now, just as some protection while I get it out of the way. So the first thing I wanna do is disconnect the ground. There's 3 bolts, but after careful studying, I've realized that bolt right there is the one you want to remove, and then this whole apparatus can be lifted off of the terminal. Voila, so I lifted that terminal off and I just kind of put it in this rubber glove right now to keep it separated. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the power side. Whew. So first step of this project is done. I've disconnected the batteries. I will not get electrocuted. The airbags will not deploy. That whole thing took me a freaking hour. So anyway, let's actually install this seat now. Now that I've got all the power disconnected, what I want to do is remove the passenger side seat. I determined that there's 4 bolts that are the main thing keeping it down. 1 here, 1 there, and then 2 in the front. So I'm starting with the rear. All I did was slide the seat as far forward as I possibly could, and I'm just going to disconnect these 2 bolts right here. It's worth noting that all my bolts and stuff that I'm taking off, I'm just storing in the cup holder up here, just not to lose track of them. So I got those 2 rear bolts off. I moved the seat all the way to the back, and now I'm just going to tackle these 2 front bolts, again with that 10mm torque wrench right there. Finally, all 4 bolts are off, and you can see the seat comes right up. All that's still connected is that this electrical box, which I think is related to the airbag, but I've disconnected the power, so there's no way that airbag is gonna deploy. All I need to do is unbolt that, remove it, unclasp these wires, just separate all these cords that are attached to the underside of the seat. I cannot for the life of me figure out which torque size to use to get this bolt off. 6mm seems too small, 8mm too large. I don't even know if a 7mm exists, so what I found works is just use needle nose pliers and just kind of surgically remove it. So I have completely removed the seat. The umbilical is off. All I had to do was turn that screw about 3/4 of the way and it popped off. Now it's time to install a pedestal, but apparently some machining is necessary. This little handle I have to somehow remove, even though it's pure steel. I have a grinder. I guess that's a grinder on a drill. That's all I have to work with. Let's see what I can do. You can see how far I got with that drill bit, the grinder, but it was making my hand so hot. It was making the drill hot to hold. So I'm just gonna try to get that last strand with this little metal saw. I just got it at the depot for like 10 bucks. I want this thing to come out so bad. Holy cow, I finally got it out. It's burning hot to the touch just from all the grinding. There's some little stubs left on it. They're probably only a 1/4 inch tall. From what I've seen in videos, that shouldn't be a problem. The swivel mechanism should go right over it. So it's hard to believe, but I'm finally ready to install the base, which is, holy cow, it's heavy. It's like 25, 30 pounds. So this red latch goes in the front. There are some bolts. They give you the washers and connections that you use to bolt it. They say you have to swivel this top piece about 30 degrees somehow, so you can access the bolts underneath. Let's see, how does this... Alright, I think I need both hands for this. So the pedestal is mounted, and the last part of it I think is pretty self-evident. You use this nut bolt washer system that they give you, and you just put it through the original factory holes to that rail in the seat, and they connect to these holes down here. The washer goes, or I'm sorry, the bolt goes underneath. Simple enough. So here we go. We can demonstrate how it works. Basically, you lift this pedal, you swivel the seat, and look at that. It swivels all the way around. It does not hit the door. You do not need to open the door. And what you want to do in order to get that sweet spot is put that not the factory bolt, but the bolt Swivels-r-us gives you into the second hole in that rail in the front, not the first. I first did the first one and it bumped against the door. So you want to do the second one, and then everything will work out perfectly. It's so much fun to compartmentalize your life. It just feels cathartic. I've divided my life up into, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 30-gallon bins from Home Depot. So I have to divide my life up into tenths right now. I've got a few of it divided up. I got hiking all in one box, photo and video gear all in one box, common tools all in one box. So I've filled up, and another one, sorry, uncommon tools. I'm kind of just throwing all this crap in there. So I guess I've filled up 4 boxes already. And I haven't even gotten to my clothes, which kind of scares me. I don't want to throw away all my old band t-shirts. I'm still trying to divide up my life, but I'm putting the uncommon, quote-unquote, stuff on the bottom of this row here, since to access them, I'll have to take all the stuff on the top off. So uncommon tools here, and uncommon something else there. I think I've decided what the other uncommon will be. Let's see. I just spent the whole day in a Home Depot parking lot, installing that seat, tearing my van apart, organizing all my stuff, putting it back together. You know, I knew that moving into a van might involve days like this. Well, I just did it. Thankfully, this Home Depot is right next to the Charles River, so I think I'm gonna go for a walk downriver. Maybe I'll catch the sunset over the skyline, and I'm sure that my next video will involve much more sightseeing. Thanks for sticking around.